I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. What do we say here at the MeidasTouch Network that MAGA stands for? Make attorneys get attorneys. Yet another example of that, this time with somebody by the name of Stefan Passantino, who was the original lawyer representing Cassidy Hutchinson, who was Mark Meadows' top staffer, who did an incredible job over this summer before the January 6th committee and gave painstaking detail about MAGA's attempt to overthrow our democracy and the cowardice of her former boss, Mark Meadows, and the traitorousness of Donald Trump and his other lackeys. Well, right before Cassidy Hutchinson had testified before the January 6th committee, she had fired her lawyer, Stefan Passantino. Now, Stefan Passantino created a law firm in 2021 called Elections LLC. Now, what was the purpose of Elections LLC? Well, to receive money from Donald Trump's organization, the grifting Save America organization, where Donald Trump lied to his cult members, his cult members, to give him literally hundreds of millions of dollars that he could funnel through to these lawyers to try to engage in conduct like trying to get witnesses not to testify before the January 6th committee and to try to get witnesses not to testify before the grand juries in Washington, D.C. Now, with respect to Cassidy Hutchinson, what we are learning from a recent report by CNN and other sources, that Stefan Passantino specifically told Hutchinson, well, you could just simply tell the January 6th committee that you don't recall. Just tell him, Cassidy, that you don't remember anything. And Cassidy Hutchinson was like, well, that would be lying because I do remember the details. Well, you don't have to tell him, is what Stefan Passantino is essentially alleged to have said, according to these reports. And not just these reports, but the January 6th committee's executive summary. I'll talk about that in a moment. But in addition to the executive summary, we heard Congressmember Zoe Lofgren talk about this type of incident during the blockbuster final January 6th committee hearing that was held on Monday, where the committee unanimously voted to refer Donald Trump to the Department of Justice to be prosecuted on 4 criminal counts. Let's play the clip from the January 6th committee hearing on Monday, where Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren, talks about what the committee discovered and how they determined that Donald Trump took these hundreds of millions of dollars, funneled them into these law firms that tried to essentially obstruct justice. Play the clip.
Beginning even before the election and continuing through January 6th and thereafter, Donald Trump purposely disseminated false allegations of fraud in order to aid his effort to overturn the 2020 election. Ex-President Trump's decision to declare victory falsely on election night wasn't a spontaneous decision. It was premeditated. The committee has evidence that ex-President Trump planned to declare victory and unlawfully to call for the vote counting to stop, and that he told numerous allies about his intent in the weeks before the election. The committee found that Mr. Trump raised hundreds of millions of dollars with false representations made to his online donors. The proceeds from his fundraising, we have learned, have been used in ways that we believe are concerning. In particular, the committee has learned that some of those funds were used to hire lawyers. We've also obtained evidence of efforts to provide or offer employment to witnesses. For example, one lawyer told a witness the witness could, in certain circumstances, tell the committee that she didn't recall facts when she actually did recall them. That lawyer also did not disclose who was paying for the lawyer's representation, despite questions from the client seeking that information. He told her, quote, "We're not telling people where funding is coming from right now." We've learned that a client was offered potential employment that would make her, quote, "financially very comfortable." As the date of her testimony approached, by entities that were apparently linked to Donald Trump and his associates. These offers were withdrawn or didn't materialize as reports of the content of her testimony circulated. The witness believed this was an effort to affect her testimony, and we are concerned that these efforts may have been a strategy to prevent the committee from finding the truth.
Now, according to the executive summary from the January 6th committee, let me read for it right now. The lawyer had advised the witness that the witness could, in certain circumstances, tell the committee that she did not recall facts when she actually did recall them. When the witness raised concerns with her lawyer about that approach, according to the summary, the lawyer said, quote, "They don't know what you know, witness Cassidy Hutchinson. They don't know that you can recall some of these things. So you saying, I don't recall, is an entirely acceptable response." No, it isn't. That is committing perjury. This lawyer tried to get Cassidy Hutchinson to commit perjury, according to this report. The report goes on to say, quote, "The lawyer instructed the client about a particular issue that would cast a bad light on Trump." No. We don't want to go there, Cassidy Hutchinson. We don't want to talk about that, Cassidy Hutchinson. Again, more obstruction of justice right there. And then Congressmember Zoe Lofgren talked about an incident like that in the final hearing. Now, according to Stefan Passantino, he denies that these accusations occurred. What he told CNN is he said, "I represented Ms. Hutchinson honorably, ethically, and fully consistent with her sole interest as she communicated them to me. I believed Ms. Hutchinson was being truthful and cooperative with the committee throughout the several interview sessions in which I represented her." Really? In the ones that you represented her, she didn't talk about the things that she had a very vivid recollection of, and she had to fire you because you were intimidating her. You were working for Donald Trump. You even think that that arrangement where you work for this Elections LLC paid for by Trump and you representing a key witness with adverse interests to Trump, you think that whole arrangement is to quote you honorable and ethically? It is the opposite. You think it is honorable and ethical, or to do something ethically, to receive, what'd you receive in 2021? Over $150,000 from the Save America organization, from 2022, over $275,000 from Trump's Save America organization, while you were representing Cassidy Hutchinson and apparently telling her not to speak on these issues to the January 6th committee when she was under penalty of perjury. Are you kidding me? And another issue that arose as well was that Cassidy Hutchinson had stated that she did not want this lawyer, Stefan Passantino, to talk about what she was telling him privately to other lawyers or to talk about it to the press. Yet apparently, according to these reports, Stefan Passantino would take the information that she would provide, then provide it to other lawyers who were representing other witnesses in connection with the January 6th committee proceedings, witnesses represented by lawyers who were also as part of Trump's team to try to stop the January 6th committee. This was the same stuff, the same obstruction of justice that they were engaged in with the Mueller report. And fortunately, according to these reports as well, Cassidy Hutchinson has already spoken to the grand jury. She's already spoken to the Department of Justice about these incidents, about the fact that this attorney, remember, MAGA attorney, this make attorney, get an attorney, Stefan Passantino, telling her, you just don't need to remember this. All you have to do is just say that you don't recall. It's just that simple. Just say that you don't remember anything. This conduct is completely beyond the pale. If indeed these reports are accurate, and I trust Cassidy Hutchinson far more than I trust the lawyer who created a firm called Elections LLC to work for Donald Trump in order to perpetuate the big lie. Should I listen to and believe the big lie liar, or should I believe the honest Cassidy Hutchinson here? And yet the law of holes with these MAGA attorneys, these make attorneys get attorneys, the law of holes, they keep on digging the hole deeper and deeper for themselves with their continuation and their perpetuation of just more lies and more obstruction. No doubt this is going to be a major focus of the January 6th investigation by Jack Smith. Indeed, it has also been reported on Tuesday that Special Counsel Jack Smith and the January 6th committee are now engaged in an incredible and productive cooperation, sharing information. The January 6th committee has already interviewed over 1,000 witnesses, making all of those witnesses available to the Department of Justice. And the Department of Justice has been bringing their own witnesses before the grand juries and having them go under oath. Let's also recall that Special Counsel Jack Smith and before him the DOJ have stopped Donald Trump from trying to frivolously assert the executive privilege, which he did indeed assert before the January 6th committee for people like Mark Short, former Vice President Pence's former chief of staff, and Greg Jacobs, the former general counsel to former Vice President Pence, and Pat Cipollone and Patrick Philbin, the former top lawyers in the White House for Donald Trump. The January 6th committee didn't get that testimony regarding their direct communications to Donald Trump. They got other testimony from those individuals, but they couldn't say their specific conversations with Trump because of executive privilege. The DOJ and now Special Counsel Jack Smith has that information as well. So you add all of this up, this is not looking good for Stefan Passantino, the make attorney, get attorney lawyer from Elections LLC, which took all of this money from the Save America PAC, the grifter group by Donald Trump, which itself is under a criminal investigation. One of the other focuses by the Department of Justice in their investigation, in addition to what took place on the date of the insurrection itself and Donald Trump's causing the insurrection, his encouragement of the insurrection, his giving aid and comfort to insurrectionists, the fake elector scheme that Donald Trump was engaged in, his intimidation of election officials, state election officials, and then let's not forget the financial crimes, the provision of aid and comfort to insurrectionists and aiding and comforting the insurrection and causing the insurrection through financially funding it through the Save America organization and bringing on lawyers who engaged in efforts to try to stop witnesses like Cassidy Hutchinson alleges from telling her truth, from telling what took place, from talking about what took place. Unfortunately, Cassidy Hutchinson was someone of the highest character, someone who's courageous, and you compare that to Anthony Ornato, for example, who was the former assistant director of the United States Secret Service Office of Training, and then served as the White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Donald Trump, who the January 6th committee said provided misleading testimony to them, and others who they say were not as forthcoming, like Ivanka Trump and Hope Hicks and others like that. Look, justice is coming. We are fortunate with each day new revelations like this. And I've said it from the outset. I'll say it one final time. I'm sure I'll say it in future videos. MAGA, make attorneys get attorneys. I think we did a hat. Check out store.MeidasTouch.com. I think we did the Make Attorneys Get Attorneys hat on our store.MeidasTouch.com site. Check it out. Also, subscribe. It's free to subscribe. And check us out at Patreon, patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. We have lots of exclusive content you can only get at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. But most importantly, please help grow this independent media platform. We are not funded by any outside investors at all. We are 100% fueled by you, 100% independent, 100% crowdfunded, 100% accountable to you. We have no outside investors at all. So help grow this independent media platform by going to Patreon, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Until next time, I'm Ben Meiselas.
MeidasTouch is unapologetically pro-democracy. And look, we know you are too. So please make sure you check out our best-selling shirt and our best-selling gear, the unapologetically pro-democracy gear. And hey, while you're at it, make sure you check out my favorite shirt and one of our most famous designs, It Wasn't Rigged, You're Just a Loser, at store.meidastouch.com. That's store.meidastouch.com.